if we're going to assume then a November 2024, yes, 11.0. Yeah, if 11.0 is like November 2024 and we get a 10.3, that is a fuckload of content. That is so obscenely like more content than Shadowlands.
Yeah, that's the fun thing to actually think about when it comes to how they time that correctly. Because obviously they're not fixed on anything. It's just like we kind of like the idea of a 2-year expansion cycle because it fits with, hey, you've got 6 months or about that for a major patch, and that like fits neatly into it all. But they're kind of like, yeah, but what about the 4th season? Because that was such a good idea. You can't cut your season in half because obviously that's like that accelerates how everyone plays, and it kind of goes against it. So I wonder if they are just happy to go, well, whatever. If we need to delay the expansion to have a 4th season, I think it is fundamentally the 4th season, the best of season is literally just a play for time. I shouldn't say 4th season because it's, there'll be 4 seasons in an expansion with 3 patches, but you know what I'm saying. Like the no new content reshuffle season is like a break glass in case of emergency for time. I think maybe they're keeping that internally. Which is frustrating because obviously it brought us great ideas, like it brought us the dinners and it brought us the faded rates. And clearly a lot of that like shuffling around was like inspiring for how Dragonflight felt at the end of the day. But it does kind of go, should they cut the last season in half? But you don't want to do that. Because like the lengthy last season's usually a really good time. Like I think historically the best time to play World of Warcraft has always been the final season of the expansion. It's always been the time I've had the most fun. Because catch-ups are the most...
Catch-up, it's the most refined.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's the most refined of all the stuff.
Either refined or they've just thrown so much top of the pile that it's completely insane.
Mm-hmm.
Like, end of BFA, end of Legion, absolute goddamn insanity and madness.
It's also the best for, hey, you want to do all the content now. Obviously, you can't do like raids in the same way because people aren't doing them. Well, maybe different now because of the rotating dungeon pool.
Yeah.
But like back in the day, it was like, yeah, you get to do everything in its completely final form and you've got all of the side content built up over time, especially now in Dragonflight. Playing, like if you come into Dragonflight in 10.3 or at the end of 10.3, you're going to have so much content that it'll actually be like genuinely unreasonable considering how much quests and stuff they're even adding in 10.15 with the Aeon's Fringe stuff. It is kind of nuts when I think about it actually.
There's a decent amount in Aeon's Fringe, isn't there?
Yeah. It's like, I don't know how like serious it actually is, but there's just something about how much little bits and bobs add up over time in this. Mm-hmm.
I wonder if Aeon's Fringe and the Time Rifts will go down better than Zaralek Cavern did. And I wonder, I wonder if Blizzard are going to learn something from that. Because it's like, I think we touched in this last week, but with Zaralek Cavern, it's like, because it had to be that sort of zone, they have to build so much and invest so much time just to get the damn thing existing and having content in it. Whereas things like Forbidden Reach and like the Time Rifts and Aeon's Fringe, perhaps because they're smaller, right? They're like smaller, more focused in terms of their scope. Maybe that just kind of means the gameplay is naturally a bit more focused and better, has more of a rhythm to it.
Yeah, because that's the thing where I've actually been preparing content for the 10.15, like patch day video and stuff coming up next week. And I was just sat here thinking, what is going on with this? This is really interesting and really... the way Forbidden Reach was very good and rewarding, and it felt like it had a really good reward loop?
Yes, yeah.
And then,
you could just... Like, I mean, I know it's a Skinner box, but at the end of the day, like, so's every fucking game. I'm not just going to say, you do things repeatedly for rewards. It's evil. But it's certainly, I don't know, it's like if you're just hooked in there on like your gamer IV drip of content, it's like going around the Forbidden Reach. It felt like I was getting a constant stream of IV, like, video game reward, happy, IV, gamer goop going into me. Whereas I think like, I don't know. It's like there were more ingredients in Zaralek Cavern, but it wasn't as tasty a dish. Because, of course, it has to be a food analogy. So the thing that you were talking about, though, was Aeon's Fringe.
Yeah, no, it wasn't Aeon's Fringe specifically, but it was the Time Rifts and how they like mesh into being rewarding. And that's the thing where I think it was last week, I was talking about the idea of like, we're talking about what motivates people to play, and like rewards kind of suffer a little bit. And Zaralek wasn't very suffering for a bunch of reasons. Was kind of suffering, wasn't rewarding. People were like, whatever. Forbidden's Reach was more rewarding, had a better flow loop to it. And now there is an issue with time rifts in that they're up every hour and last about, I think it's 20 minutes currently, which is like, that's 40 minutes of time every hour, which kind of kills flow. But
imagine if Great Hunts only happened every hour.
There's definitely a little bit of that. Yeah. There's a little bit of that because I guess they want you to do things like in between and not just stay there and loop forever. But time rifts have these kind of, how do I describe the loop, right? So you finish a time rift and you, depending on the rift that's up, you get a reward. The more you actually achieve during it, this temporal essence bar fills up. And you get a box of stuff. It's like, oh, hey, here's your green box or your blue box or your purple box, depending on it filling up. And that gives you a couple of different things, but also paracausal flakes, which are these like just currency you buy stuff with from all the vendors that are chilling there. And it's kind of a loop in multiple ways where it's like, it's kind of classical good video game rewards where you have a random chance at the end of a rift to get an item from that rift. Like one of the vendor items from killing the boss. If you don't get that, tough luck, but you also get, paracausal flakes, so you can just buy stuff. You've got that backup currency that you can earn towards, say, the trinket you want for like power or one of the weapon appearances or the pet or the mount, because there's a pet, a mount, weapon appearances. One of them has this ensemble and a trinket from all of these. So there's a shit ton of stuff to do. But what you do is do this time rift for 20 minutes every hour or anytime you log in, basically, more or less. You get your reward, get your flakes, or you get the thing. And the patch notes actually confirmed it there that you don't get duplicate rewards. So if you get a reward, it's going to be something you need. So you've got this. So it's this list of collectibles, but also with a currency, you can target specific ones first if you want. Or if you want to be efficient, you hold on to your currency until the end and you spend it all and you kind of like end the whole thing early by spending all your currency effectively. Or you don't even need to because you don't get dupes. So whatever. And also, if something doesn't drop, there's a decent chance you get this thing called an encapsulated destiny.
Oh.
Which is a pretty fucking metal name for an item, the encapsulated destiny. And if you use it during a time rift, that time rift is guaranteed to give you a reward. Which means if you only have a couple things left, you're almost targeting your reward from that.
This is way friggin' better. What is it like in terms of gear that you can get? Because I know you get the paracausal fragments, but is there any like power that people can get? Because I feel like they'll be missing. It's weird. Will they want to just get rid of Zarlek Cavern immediately? No. But would it, because it sounds to me like this will be a far more fun way of gearing a character than Zarlek has been.
Yeah.
Oh no, I don't like these noises.
So the gear seems very, very shit catch up. It seems like I think it's like veteran tier, which isn't good compared to people run around and like what you'd likely to have. So it doesn't feel catch-uppy in the same way that I expect 10.17 would be catch-up. It's not the same strength as Forbidden Reach. So power is not really that important here, seemingly. But the trinkets might be strong. Now, the problem is they might just change again what like item level they drop. But again, it was like Veteran 1 of 8 was the one you buy from the vendor or it drops me. I got the Charlemagne one from fighting, from killing Varian in the Great Glorious Alliance timeline. Varian has grey hair and saw blades for arms. It's really cool. But there's definitely like they've pulled back on that. They haven't made that super, unless they literally just bump stuff up there.
Right.
Maybe they just bump it up at the end, but I imagine it'll be like, yeah, it's not really very good.
Yeah, I can see this.
Front.
Yeah,
it's more
this
cosmetic
402 stuff that drops from the bosses.
It's a lot more.
Is that 402? Because I know there's 402 stuff you can buy from a vendor. I think in Valdrakken. That I don't know if that's still in the game.
The 402 from Valdrakken?
At one point, there was an NPC in Valdrakken that you could buy eye level 402 stuff in, but I just double checked.
Is that on the PTR?
Yeah.
Oh, that vendor has been moved because you can. Are you thinking? Was that for gold or? Are you thinking?
Yeah, it was just for gold.
Oh no, it must have been a PTR thing. Because I don't know if that's there, but at the minute there's a vendor who you can buy items that drop and their tokens drop from the time rift stuff and from the boxes, and you can trade those in for a piece of your choice.
Just 402.
402, yeah, which is kind of dog.
And no
but
upgrade track.
I'm pretty sure they were in the upgrade track.
Okay, well, that does change it. So the 402 stuff is veteran, which goes up to...
Yes.
It goes up to higher.
Yeah, I didn't remember this when I was actively progressing the tier. Never mind now when I've been like logged out outside of doing like just other stuff for a while, like 44 progresses.
I think 424 is going to feel good for a regular player to work their way towards. It will probably be more fun to get that progress via the time rifts than via some other means. And definitely. 424 does begin to set you up for the mega dungeon as well. Which I think like a mega dungeon is going to be more relevant than a raid to a bunch of the more like solo content people, especially without a timer. Exactly.
I think because the other thing about the like time rift stuff is it's actually pretty fun. The way I would describe it is it's a little bit of imagine a combination of the public events in Zarlek Caverns with a community feast and a kind of smattering of greatest hits of like puzzles from throughout the ages. Because the way it works is you're in one area, you're sat there with Sora Dormy, you check in with her, you start the whole thing. There's like invaders from the timelines, from 2 timelines out of the 7, I believe. And you kind of just go and do whatever she says in the same way the feast is like, oh, do this now. And some of them are group tasks where you go and kill a load of dudes. And it's just like, oh, here's the Great Glorious Alliance have invaded, so you have to kill the Great Glorious Alliance and the Blood Horde who've invaded. But at the same time, it'll be at the other side of the Pacific. Oh yeah, go kill the Uldaroth, which is the Titan Azeroth. Go kill all the like enraged beasts that are come out of that portal. But then they'll be like, fly back and set up a gun rack for people to come down, and then people come down and click the gun rack and get an on-use like extra action button that'll help them do more damage and stuff like that. Then there's also like, you know, the anima parse, you know, they've been reusing that system of click the orb, get the thing. Like the Cobalt Assembly parse is probably more relevant now. There's that, which can give you more temporal essence and paracausal flicks. I think it's more temporal essence from solo tasks, so you kind of upgrade this. There's even one where you pick fluffy, you grow fluffy fur, and then Sorodomi pets you for an achievement, which is kind of weird and wacky, but it is like actually kind of fun to do. Not extremely fun, not like, oh, I can't believe this is amazing. But as far as like a do this every hour for some stuff, it's actually engaging. And I feel like that's going to like work for people fairly well as a bit of like, people have been complaining about the rare circle, and Forbidden Reach was a pretty good rare circle, but this is a bit of content that's very intentionally, no, you come in here every like hour and you do the fun thing. You do a variety of fun things, and the puzzles are really easy, really stupid easy, and very fast to do, which is obviously them going, yeah, people don't want to be like forced to do hard puzzles while they're in that. They're not as hard as like the what's it called, the ley lines and things like that in Najatar or Zereth Mortis's ones. They were kind of brutal, some of them. I can't remember what it was called, but like the pattern solving ones of Zereth Mortis really wrecked people, and that's why obviously
they did.
Pock could skip them. That's what I was fun. But that was very, very basically time rift's good, and I think it'll be a successful like reward loop for people because they've really nailed down like, here's how to farm stuff. Like I describe it in, Zerberus leyline puzzles hard. Some people find them pretty challenging. There might be Twitch clips of Mythic Raiders struggling with them, believe it or not. Lorgox is a bit of a special occasion anyway, but there's something else what I was going to say about it. Yeah, I basically described them in an upcoming video as a grind fest, if you want.
Like a good kind. Do you know what I think Blizzard needs to remember more? I don't know why, but I killed gulp frogs for like, I'd say, over the course of patch 5.2, I probably spent 10 hours killing gulp frogs. And I don't know why it was, but I just got into some sort of gulp frog slaying rhythm. And that's a thing that can happen in like ARPGs and stuff like that. And I guess when I look at these time rifts, I just feel like, you are so close to making a fun turbo grind. Like, imagine if the time rifts were up and you could almost engage with them the way that people would engage with Sibelian and Rathian at the start of the expansion. That would probably have felt really, really good. So it's a shame that they last for like 20 minutes and that they're up every hour.
That's exactly my problem.
It's the pattern break.
Exactly.
That's it. And I think when you look at fuck me sideways, that's it. You look at Forbidden Reach. What did it not do? Break the pattern. You look at Zarlek Cavern. What does it do? Break the pattern all the goddamn time. You can't get into a pattern or a groove in Zarlek Cavern. I think that's a lot of the reason, because it's like, okay, you've got this like bar, and there's a threshold of like, this is fun enough for me to do it. Now, some zones will be below that threshold, and no matter what, you're just not interested. Some zones will be way, way, way above that threshold, and it's fine. Other zones will be just enough above that threshold to where you're like, you're not thrilled to play it, but you're happy enough to do it. At that point, as long as you're above the threshold, all they need to do is not break the pattern.
That's exactly
because, like, imagine a Zarlek where the rares were up as often as Forbidden Reach rares, and they had, you know, somewhat more compelling rewards than a single Drake thing. Like, maybe they also dropped like barter bricks and barter boulders more, and that system was like more developed. So imagine if you just embraced the rare circle. A lot of people would complain. Me and Matt would complain. But if it was a rare circle that you could just do without constantly being interrupted by spawn times that are flow breaking, you know, you'd probably do the damn thing.
It's the exact same thing that happens when people go, well, why was leveling in World of Warcraft so fun and so good? And it was just because you get a quest and you finish the quest, and the quest says, oh, you're done here, go to the next area, and then you go there pretty quick and you keep going. And ask if you just keep just playing the game. You never get told to stop. It's why like Diablo's really good for that. And it's actually why you think of what happened to Diablo 4 there, and a recent update that goes, hey, you can teleport to the Nightmare Dungeons once you've activated the like sigil. It's like, oh yeah, because then I just spend more time killing stuff and have to spend just, that's what I do. I do the kill things, and then you've got that loop of like, specifically Diablo's always had that, and it's like a thing of ARPGs and other types of games, is that go get loot, come back to town, sort out loot, go back into loot. And that's like the cycle that continues. But WoW has never really been super good at having that like A-B like split. Whereas maybe if the timers worked away is like, because they're about a third of your time, and 40 minutes is a lot of downtime. If there's like 10-minute downtime, 15-minute downtime, and say if it was every...
Or even a mob you could grind in that 10-minute downtime.
Yeah, I was just about to say, like, there should be like a...
We're in sync.
There should be a grindable mob. Or it's like, hey, this happens every 30 minutes, and they last 20 minutes. And in the 10-minute downtime, you can go back and sort anything out, do anything else you need to do, and start a new activity. Or you could just, maybe there's like, sort of says, there's lingering stuff. In the same way that the Winter Pelt grind is just kill dudes, get stuff, hand it in. It's like, oh, well, there's lingering time echoes from the thingy-majig. Kill them, and for every 10 you kill, you can get 1 rep with me, or you can get 1 paracausal flake or something. And that's not high value. So the high value thing is play the 20 minutes time rift, go outside for 10 minutes, come back inside. That's like the effective one.
Yeah.
But people will not break the pattern of, I'm just going to stay here and fight. I'm going to stay here and run in circles, AoE pulling things and killing them like crazy, which is actually fun to do at this point. Now, maybe the balancing will change, but at the minute, I'm like, I can't remember what I'm level I am, but I'm basically like full heroic geared. I'm running around going, okay, sweet, I can just kill stuff all day long. I'm pretty strong. It only takes me like, basically I can like thrash, I can open with a rake, thrash, hit a brutal slash, hit a primal wrath, hit another 2 brutal slashes, and an AoE mob, a pack is dead. Beacon to beyond the next pack, kill it all, keep moving, and it's that like flow of almost Diablo style, you're nuking things and moving on. So it's like, I can do that really like well at this point in time. So I could see how that like loop would work if it just constantly spam me things to do instead of this stop, start with a big downtime. But I guess they just don't want people to go, hey, do you want to play for 18 hours straight because you feel like you need to because there's never a break? I feel like they're maybe a little bit worried about that, or worried about people doing that and then burning out and then not playing any of the other content, which I think is like maybe a bit of a realistic thing, I guess. Yeah, I know most people are nowhere near that, but like that's me doing it solo in the PTR. You can imagine it with like 4 or 5 people or 20 people or 100 people, or depending on how much the shard supports at launch. Because that was even something that was brought up by Graham Berger when he's talking about, I can't remember if it was the WoCast or the Kalamazoo interview, but was talking about like how Ugvoker seems to be like on paper pretty bad for soloing. And he's like, yeah, they haven't really put an awful lot of like super thought or care into that. They might feel a little bit more like tanks because they've got low damage, but they've got that blistering scales, exploding stuff, and self-healing. So they might play a little bit more like that instead of DPS. So, but your like buffs from Ogvoker don't need you to be in the party or raid. So if you're doing time rifts and there's like 4 dudes with you, you can just press Ebb and Might and it'll automatically go to them, which means you're contributing without being in the party. You're like, nice, that's cool. So I guess that'll be like the main vibe is just everyone will be clearing this stuff real fast. And that's what worked super well in, what's it called? The Obsidian Citadel.
Yeah.
For Rathian Civilian. That shit sucks now. But if you're doing a launch, there's 40 billion people chain pulling everything.
Like, how do they deal with that sucking? I guess it just has to be like group or guild finder.
Yeah, more or less group finder.
Or yeah, group finder. Yeah, don't use the guild finder for that. Oh dear.
Actually, you can use a guild finder quite well. That's where we've actually got a couple of recruits from the guild finder, believe it or not.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah, I think there's like Eric. Eric was just a group guild finder applicant.
Holy shit.
Yeah. Can't remember if Fluff it was, but yeah.
Damn,
Guild
that's
finder's pretty good
interesting.
actually, if you're lucky enough to find a guild of good ours. Yeah.
Yeah, we're great.